It might be the biggest trade in NBA history. I don't think that is hyperbole. Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Anthony Davis to the Mavericks. My mind is blown. We're going to talk about it right now on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome into Locked On NBA Game Night. My name is Gavin Schall, host of the Locked On Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And joining me today, filling in for Rylan Stiles, is Swipa, the host of Locked On Nuggets. We planned a whole show. We were going to talk about all the games, and then a Shams nuke ended all that. We were debating for about 10 minutes if he was hacked. Turns out he wasn't. This is one of the craziest nights in the history of the National Basketball Association. Luka Doncic, a 25-year-old, I think superstar undersells it. I'm going to say a 25-year-old on track to be one of the 20 greatest players in the history of the sport, traded right at the start of his prime while playing on a championship contender for another Hall of Famer at, let's see, 11 p.m., 12 midnight East Coast on a Saturday. Swipa, we've both been covering this league a long time. I have never experienced anything like this. I'm going to pass it over to you before I start drooling on myself, but my mind is blown. Suffice.
Yeah, and first off, I want to thank everybody for being in here. This is going to be quite the show. So Gavin, we're going to be sharing some graphics with you today, so you can see kind of the timeline of how everything went down. So the format's going to be a little different today, but I'm not going to lie. So Gavin, I'm preparing for the show, and I'm preparing to talk about the Portland and the Suns game, and then all of a sudden, very similar to you, out of nowhere, I get an alert on my phone about Luka Doncic being traded for Anthony Davis, and just like everybody else, I assumed that it was fake. But then I went and texted some people in some of the media group chats that I'm in, and then also on Twitter or on X, where there's also a collective group chat, and people started pouring in their own opinions. And I saw a beat writer that basically covers the Lakers on a day-to-day basis, said everything he's hearing from another source outside of Shams is true, that Luka is indeed headed to the Lakers. And then from there on, it was a cascade of information that started to roll out, and exactly why this trade went down in the first place. And Gavin, this is one of the most shocking, if not the most shocking trade in modern NBA history, in one, because of how unprecedented it is. You have a 26-year-old, Gavin, superstar who just took his team to a title, and he's one of the best offensive players we've ever seen. And he gets moved for Anthony Davis. And when we get into some of the details for this trade, Gavin, honestly, he could have gone for so much more in another situation. But when you find out some of the details about the trade wall that we're going to get into, maybe the most befuddling thing here, Gavin, the trade was not initiated by Luka Doncic, and that is the most shocking part of this trade information so far.
Yeah, that is what is stunning. And my first reaction once I settled into this is and look, you get a lot of crazy news these days, right? And you get to a point where you're like, am I in a dream? Am I in a coma? Do I have a concussion? And once you X out all those boxes, your mind goes to, this does not feel like enough for Luka Doncic to me. This is a guy, I mean, Bill Simmons just put out his trade value column. We could run through the list. I would say outside of Victor Wembanyama, maybe just because of how well their season is going, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, tell me if I'm forgetting someone here. Is there someone in the NBA who would demand a trade package, even with, like, you could say there's some crap around Luka Doncic, right? I don't care. The guy is a killer. He's been a killer for
Yeah.
years. Is there any other player in the NBA
Yeah.
that would demand a bigger trade package? Because this, as much as Anthony Davis is brilliant, and we will get into the implications for the Mavs, and I think they are still very much like dark horse title contenders, this does not feel like enough for a 25-year-old who I will restate it is not a Hall of Famer, does not do him justice, is on track to be one of the 15 to 20 greatest guys to ever lace them up.
So I remember doing this not too long ago. So the players that I think that would demand the most, that are in terms of the most value around the league: Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Shai Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's 5. But also I think Jason Tatum's another one. And one of the reasons is like when you get players that are like 29 years old, 26 years old, multiple time MVPs, MVP ballot level players every single year you can build championships around, you don't find those players. So Luka is unquestionably one of the players that if you even thought about approaching the Dallas, Gavin, I don't know if you play 2K. I don't know if the people in the chat play 2K. If you went to 2K right now and you tried to make a trade in the modern era NBA, my team, and try to get Luka Doncic, the game would literally tell you, no thanks. Like they're not even interested. He's not even available to be traded. That's how good he is. So yes, I want to confirm to everybody else in the chat that's asking the question, is this real? Yes, Luka is a Laker. Anthony Davis is a Dallas Mavericks. Now, Gavin, I don't know if you want to use this point right now, if you want to get into some of the tweets that explain some of the timeline stuff at all.
Yeah, let's do that, because we've gotten some context now where this initially did not make any sense. It's starting to make a little sense. So why don't you share some of those?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, just let's just get it started here. So
what is the number on your notifications right now?
Oh, it's out of this world. Yeah, it's my everything's blowing up for me right now. So just for context, y'all. So this came out. The original tweet was at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Sources tell ESPN. 3-team deal that includes Utah. Now that's the first one, and everybody, and then me and you texted each other like, "Is this real? Is this real?" Now the next step here is when it got real dicey. Now again, the next tweet says, "Yes, this is real. Sources tell ESPN full trade. The Lakers get Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. The Mavericks get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick, and then the Jazz, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and a 2025 Clippers second and a 2025 Mavericks second." But yo, everybody in the chat, this is what is most interesting about this deal. Now, Tim McMahon is very plugged in to the Dallas market area, and this is a direct quote that McMahon got from Mavs GM Nico Harrison. "I believe that defense wins championships," Mavs GM Nico Harrison told ESPN regarding his motivation to trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. "I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future." And the next step of this is going to be the most crucial part of this. The Mavs had major concerns about moving forward with Luka Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues and the looming commitment of another Supermax contract extension this summer, sources told ESPN. And then to top it off, Mark Stein, who added a whole other layer to this, you all. This was the most interesting part about this. Mark Stein says Luka Doncic did not request a trade. League sources tell the Stein line. The Mavericks did this on their own accord, getting back Anthony Davis, but only one future first-round pick from the Lakers in 2029 for a 25-year-old regarded as a future MVP. And y'all, it's all about the money. Always follow the money. The Mavericks and Luka Doncic until tonight were heading towards a 5-year contract in July worth a record $345 million. Dallas GM Nico Harrison made the call to abruptly changed the direction of the franchise with one of the most stunning trades in league history. And Gavin, that is our timeline. That's how we got here to this point. This is why Luka is no longer a Dallas Maverick.
I'm borderline lost for words. This is a stunning decision from the Dallas Mavericks, right? Like let's just start with that. There were concerns about Luka's shape over the years, right? Like I think that is fair to say. Like he has consistently come into camp overweight. There have been very few points where you could say, hey, like this looks like a well-conditioned NBA athlete. He is 6'8" and a basketball genius. So it hasn't mattered. And he has been as much as he's a dominant regular season player, he is a dominant playoff riser in a way a handful of stars have been over the last 20 years. I mean, I will never forget those series against the Clippers when he's 20 and 21 going toe-to-toe with Kawhi Leonard. I will not forget him ripping out the Phoenix Suns, beating hearts and eating it in front of them, and then a bloody smile to Devin Booker while they won that game 7 by 40 points. I won't forget them making the finals last year, right? Like you can say everything about Luka. He doesn't play defense. He's been lazy. He is the ultimate like ref complainer in our league right now. And yet with all that, all the guy has done is win. All he does is kill. All he does is get better when it matters the most. And for Dallas to have that, like just like this is, if you are a GM, hypothetically, if you got 50 years on the job, you would die for this. This is what you do the job for. As a Mavericks fan, this is why you watch for years and years and years and years. It is to get one chance at one guy like this. And most fans in their lifetime never get to see their team have a player like this kind of talent. It is a holy basketball experience. And Dallas had that. And they said, no more. We're good. We're out of that business. We're going to trade him for Anthony Davis, who is a remarkable player in his own right, but is 6 years older, is very injury prone. And despite what he does defensively, despite how good of an offensive player he is just not the game changer that Luka Doncic is, which tells me that beyond, like, I think more reporting will come out. I wonder, I'm sorry if you shared something on this and I missed this. I wonder if there was something last second where Luka said, actually, I don't want to stay with you guys. I don't want to sign that contract, because Dallas deciding on their own that we want out of the Luka Doncic business just doesn't compute for me.
Look, again, if just to what Tim McMahon said, the Mavs had major concerns moving forward with Luka Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues and the looming commitment of another Supermax. Now, everybody knows this. Everyone in the chat that is just mind blown. I want to remind everyone that Nico Harrison, ownership, and players since 2018 have tried to talk to Luka. So this is on the Mavs side. They have tried to talk to Luka about his antics on the court, his attitude, the off-season regimen, how he treats his body, how he takes care of his body, how in the off-season he doesn't do what he needs to do. He comes into the regular season slow, and then he picks it up from there as time goes on. So there have been multiple issues from on-court performance, on-court behavior, off-the-court behavior, nothing that's like crime or anything related like off the court. It just has to do with him as a player. And then again, he's not been listening to people from the top to the bottom. So when you put all that together, Dallas is saying, we have a formula. We believe we can be defensively minded. And again, I want to be clear about this, you all. If the Dallas Mavericks are healthy, you know what their new look roster is? They're going to be able to run Kyrie Irving, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Max Christie, Spencer Dinwiddie, and then also be able to deploy Daniil Gafford and Klay Thompson off of the bench. They are going to also be a force. And honestly, ostensibly, If you get high enough level play from Anthony Davis and Kyrie offensively in a series, then Gavin, they're going to have a chance to also compete for a title with maybe the best defense outside of OKC in the Western Conference.
So next, we're going to talk, what do the Lakers look like now? We'll dive deeper into the Dallas Mavericks' chances of winning a championship. Is this the biggest trade in NBA history? I don't know if we'll come to a final answer, but we'll give our opinions next here on Locked On NBA. But first, I wanted to tell you about our good friends over at TurboTax. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today, an expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Locked On NBA Game Night. Gavin Schall, host of Locked On Knicks. Swipe, a host of the Locked On Nuggets podcast, talking about at least one of, you got to give me that, Swiper, one of the biggest trades in NBA history. And before we get into what this means for the teams now, I had to drive this point in a little further because I alluded to it. I don't think I fully went down the road yet. This does not feel like enough for Luka Doncic. And it was clear Dallas, once they decided they wanted to trade him, they had a abundantly clear perspective in mind, right? They were not shopping him. They were not going to every team. They were not saying, can we get 15 first-round picks for Luka, which, like, you call the Thunder, you could have gotten 15 first-round picks for Luka Doncic, right? You would think, I would assume, maybe not. Maybe Oklahoma City says, we don't really want to bring that into our locker room. I don't know, but I would assume that was available. I assume there were a litany, and we can go through the list if you want, of incredibly talented players under the age of 28 that they could have traded for Luka Doncic, plus a bunch of those picks. And instead they went the route, we have a really good team. We have a really deep team. We made the finals a year ago. We have been very good this year when we were healthy, even without Luka Doncic. What do you make of the return for Dallas?
Well, here's the thing. I think GMs don't have the ability all the time to look towards the future. So I think a lot of people are saying, well, what about the first round picks? What about the swaps? Well, if you look at it on Nico's side and ownership, apparently, they're more concerned with winning this year because they believe they have an opportunity to win. And Anthony Davis, I believe he's around 32 years old is his actual number right now. So I think for them, they look at it as Anthony Davis is going to be a locked-in two-way superstar for the next several seasons. We've also seen him rise in the playoffs for multiple years. If we give Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson and the rest of the offensive players on that roster, you give them an elite big who can give you legitimately 27 and 12 and also be in the conversation for best defender in the world. Now, I'll say this too, Gavin. Anthony Davis's defense has looked horrible with the Lakers at times because they just don't have the personnel. Now envision Anthony Davis with Derek Lively and PJ Washington and Najee Marshall and just how good they can be on that end and how much space they can take away because of what they're able to do on the court. So I think in their minds, we're not as concerned about that because we're going to get a superstar in their estimation back, and our floor is going to be even higher because we no longer have to deal with someone who doesn't want to be here, who's doing things that they should not be doing, and also is not listening. Everything I've ever heard about Anthony Davis is he's a team player. He treats his body right. He likes doing what he does. He's not argumentative. He's just used to be injury prone. But Anthony Davis played, I think, 78 or 79 games last year. He's played a lot of games this year. He has proven that he will be willing to do whatever it takes to take care of his body. So you put all that in a bow, and then on top of this, Gavin, you know this, so much is about relationships. If I feel like I would rather work with someone that is going to listen and trust what I say and trust the process that we put in place, and they're also able to play at a very high level, I would rather have that player on my roster than someone who doesn't listen, who doesn't take critique, who doesn't take coaching, and I'll rather him be somebody else's issue. I get a young asset back in Max Christie. I get a 2029 first-round pick unprotected from the Lakers. Who knows where they'll be by that point? And I get Anthony Davis in this deal. For them, they feel like this is an opportunity for them to win the title this year, next year, and the year after that.
I hear you. It's so unprecedented that if I throw out alternative trades, it's so like I keep coming back to the Bill Simmons trade value column, right? Which is like, and when you get to the top 10, the list of the column is, or the title of the top 10 is always like I'll never tell anyone you called, like, but I'm listening, or like both say no, but like who hangs up the phone faster is a more accurate one. So I'm thinking in my head, like could you've gotten Jason Tatum for him? That sounds crazy because the Celtics would never trade Jason Tatum, but would they trade him for Luka Doncic? Maybe not. Maybe they value Tatum's defense. Maybe they value his stability more. That's fine. But like, I'm calling Boston and I'm checking because Luka is good enough to justify that conversation. I'm calling the Cavs and I'm saying, hey, could I possibly get Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley for him? Maybe not. Maybe two guys is worth more than one, and the Cavs just love Evan Mobley. But like, I'm literally just like off the top. Could I have gotten Cade Cunningham and a bunch of picks from the Detroit Pistons? Like I swipe. I don't know if you want to throw out some of these, but could I have gotten Amen Thompson and a million picks from the Rockets?
Yeah, I mean, just imagine what the Rockets. They say they're good with their timeline. Okay, imagine Luka Doncic is on the phone now.
He's 25. He doesn't change your timeline.
Right, exactly. Like if you think you're good with Jalen Green and whoever else, okay, we'll bet. Well, here's Luka. Yeah, everybody's on the table at this point. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, this is how you know it was bad. And this is what I want Dallas fans to lock in with. Mm-hmm. I also feel you, Dallas fans. I was shocked. I think that this was a bad move in many ways. But Dallas fans, now I want you to sit inside the head of the GM. How bad could things have gotten for them to be able to offload Luka like this? Up to this point, they were having contract extension talks for July for $345 million. And they've been dealing with Luka since 2018. He's been first team All-NBA every year of his career except for his rookie year. And he was going to do that again this year. How bad would things have had to get for him to, and the rest of and again, ownership has to agree to this, for them to be able to say, no, we're going to approach the Lakers about Anthony Davis. We're not going to shop him anywhere. We don't want a bidding war. I know exactly who it is that I want, and we're going to target that player by any means necessary. And the Lakers didn't even, and this is what I'm talking about. When a lot of people don't realize this, Gavin, if you're not from a big market, you're from New York, obviously. You get advantages that other teams just don't get. The fact that the Lakers were able to get Kareem, they were then able, just not that far long ago, to get Shaq, and then they were able to build the team they built, and then after the Kobe era, they get LeBron, and then after LeBron, you get Luka Doncic in your building, who's going to be a superstar in this league for at least the next 10 years, Lord willing. There is no franchise like the Lakers. Wilt Chamberlain too, Ken. There is no franchise like the Lakers. There is no team that has ever gotten this kind of fortune in the NBA except for this franchise. And to their credit, every single time they have to be ready to make one of these moves, they do it. But I have a great question for you, Gavin, that I would love to be answered. What does this mean for LeBron James? Are they just going to have Luka Doncic and LeBron playing together? Is that the plan? Like, is LeBron staying in LA? Is that the vision that they're going to run out who at center? So it's going to be LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui, DFS, and who? Who else is going to be on that team?
We're going to talk about it in just a sec on Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, we have to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting. All game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, we're back on Locked On NBA Game Night. Swipe, but you asked a lot of great questions. I want to answer them. I want to note just one thing. When I'm throwing all these names out there and saying, like, why not get 1 million picks from Houston? Why not get 1 million picks from the Grizzlies? Why not try and get Jason Tatum? Why not try and get Evan Mobley? The one thing that I am probably disregarding that I think you just did a brilliant job explaining is that Luka Doncic, his current contract situation, he's under contract this year, he's under contract next year, and the season after that, he has a player option, which is why the extension was, and those conversations were such a significant deal. A team is only going to go in on all in on Luka Doncic if, presumably, if they back channel. I know that's quote unquote not allowed, but if they back channel and they find out, hey, he would be willing to stick around in this area, and the luxury of being the Los Angeles Lakers is you don't really have to go through that process, but you can say, hey, it's LA. It's taking over from LeBron, from Kobe, from Shaq, from Jerry West, from Kareem, from Magic Johnson. He is going to want to stay in LA. We are going to be just fine. We're going to make this deal, even if it's a little bit blind. And I think Dallas knows that as well. And that is beyond the fact that obviously Dallas sees Anthony Davis as the best player they can get for this team this year. I think that would be a fair conclusion to draw with how targeted this was. I have to assume that was the rationale behind this. Oh, sorry, you muted, Swiper.
Yeah, sorry. I was just looking at making sure I had everything. Just to be clear here, by the way, the Lakers won the trade. I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. Lakers won this trade.
It's not close.
Yeah, you're getting the best player. You're getting an opportunity to have like a generational player on the roster. And I just think that like the possibilities are endless now because you have the room. Like, what do we want to do? Like the Rui gave Vincent, and I believe they still have access to some swaps. Like, okay, now what do you want to do with the big position? Like, this is the Jonas Valanciunas like addition that you're looking for. Like, who are you looking? Robert Williams. Like, you can do what you want, and you can just figure out, well, we can pay out whatever because now we got 77. We're good. 2025 until 2036, we got the guy. So everything you do as a franchise going forward, you can just worry about how do you build around Luka Doncic, and including with LeBron James. Like, do we want to keep him on the roster? Is he staying on the roster? How long? Everything is open for the Lakers at this point. So, yeah, this is just it's honestly just incredible, man. Like, somebody just added me again. LeBron's got to play with Kyrie, D Wade, Bosh, AD, Kevin Love, and now Luka. Like, and again, age 40 season, the Lakers are still going. They're still trying to give LeBron everything that he needs in order to win a championship, man. And like that, the Lakers have been incompetent at the ownership position for the last 3 years, basically. After they got Anthony Davis, they made a couple good moves right before they went to the playoffs in 2023. But then now you land Luka, and then for Dallas, boy, I mean, what a landscape years of NBA basketball level move that took place today. Everything will be different, especially in the Western Conference.
Yeah, so we can talk about it. I think we might not be on the same page with this. I don't know if it makes the Lakers better this year. That might be controversial to say, but their defense is held together by duct tape, and that duct tape was named Anthony Davis, right? Like he was the Los Angeles Lakers defense. With everything we just said about Luka Doncic, like I don't see them as all of a sudden like some bona fide contender. And the irony for this, and to be clear, none of this is me saying that the Lakers shouldn't have made the trade. This is absolutely the right move. I just think for LeBron James and this current team, I don't know if it elevates them. Like ironically, they've been playing their best basketball of the year over the last 7 games, highest net rating in the NBA, 6-1. It felt like they had developed a vision, right? Like the size, like the flexibility, finally giving JJ Redick and LeBron for that matter, like sufficient 3-and-D wings with the way Max Christie was playing, with the way Dorian Finney-Smith 5 for 6 for 3 against the Knicks tonight. And tonight was sort of the cherry on top, right? Like beating the New York Knicks, red hot team by 15 points, no AD. Maybe that was part of it. Who knows? Like they look good, and Luka coming back late in the year, or I don't know how soon he's going to, probably in like about a month, still needing to get in shape to some extent, having to integrate himself in real time. And you now have like the 2 great chess masters in the NBA, right? Like, or maybe, sorry, Nikola Jokic aside, I keep ignoring your legend, right? The best player in the world right now. But him aside, at the wing position, the 2 best chess masters in the NBA, there's some overlap there in both what Luka and LeBron do. Both obviously need to be on the ball. Both love running pick and roll, spraying it to the corners. And you have 2 genius passers. None of this is me saying that it doesn't work. There is just some overlapping skill that was not there with LeBron and AD, which was a perfect match just in terms of the fact that they did not step on each other's toes. And all this is to say, I don't really see the Lakers as title contenders this year. Long term, though, obviously it's the right move to trade a 31-year-old injury-prone Anthony Davis for, again, one of the 3 to 5 best players in the sport.
I mean, we'll find out. Again, it's just going to be really difficult to deal with a Luka Doncic, LeBron-led tunnel lineup. Sure. And then they got Austin Reeves still, and then they got Bando. So, like, they're going to win a lot of games still. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I do think they're going to have to make a real, true defensive addition to this roster in order to make it viable for the playoffs. But right now, who cares? If I'm a Lakers fan, okay, if it's not this year, then it's next year. If it's not next year, it's the year after that. Why? Because by the time we get 3 years from now, Luka's going to be 28. What do I care?
Yeah. I do think this is not a loss for Luka in that he gets the market. He gets to go live in LA.
The market, you get the money, right? You get the biggest franchise in the NBA. You get the stars. You get the spotlight. Luka in LA. Luka's going to be living his life. Y'all, man, I'm telling y'all, Luka is a big market merchant. He's going to love being in LA, and LA going to love Luka because Luka fits LA like a T.
I will say the flip side of that, as a basketball fit, LA should not struggle to build around him just because every free agent is going to want to go there and is going to want to play with Luka Doncic, I would presume. But mostly out of draft equity now. LeBron aging, maybe 2 years left. Who knows? Maybe this reinvigorates him. Maybe he decides to say, hey, I'll be a role player for 5 years. I'll go try and win another one with Luka. I wonder, I think it is going to take a long time for LA to be the basketball situation that Dallas is right now. Because I think Gavin, Dallas,
you're thinking,
if you were to build a dream, I had my doubts when they hired Nico Harrison right from Nike. I think the guy has done, until this moment, because I don't like this trade, but until this moment, I think the guy has done just a brilliant job building they are filled with defenders. They are filled with shooters. They are, because they screwed the Knicks over and tanked one year. They have Lively. They were filled with athletic bigs. Like, I love Dallas. I still was, we were going to talk about it tonight. I might have picked them to come out of the West over Oklahoma City, just by everything we saw this year, because when they were healthy, they looked really good this year. And I think that's a loss for Luka, and I think it might be a loss for Dallas if they throw it away. But real quick, before we finish up, I don't know if we've done enough exploring the Dallas angle yet. I'm going to throw this tweet up from Joel Moran. The Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, Derek Lively. They have Hardy off the bench, who's been playing well. They have Max Christie off the bench. A lot of shooting, a lot of defense. Spencer Dinwiddie's still there. He can contribute. Where do you think they head now? Because to me, they profile very similar to Oklahoma City. I just don't know if they have the same ceiling as Oklahoma City because they don't have that guy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the building.
Yeah, I mean, no. I already did that. I think Lively's going to be starting in that lineup, so I do think they're going to be still a very elite team. Again, they will contend in the West. They might not win, but they will contend in the West.
Yeah, I'm with you too. All right, guys, this was a lot of fun. Me and Swipe are going to talk about it. Maybe we'll come back on for 10 more minutes and answer some more questions, but we got to wrap up this edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. We really appreciate you tuning in on short notice. I'm going to go throw up. He's going to go have a good night. We'll talk to you soon on Locked On NBA Game Night.